I did get a chance to meet quite a few people throughout the different radio ventures that I went to. It was very interesting to meet a lot of them.
And as the voice of Robert T. Graves, radio personality and the host of Praise Mix 96 on Live365.com. Now, last time we were talking about the different gospel brunches you got to do, and where do those events take place?
Well, this particular gospel brunch, believe it or not, was in a casino. It was in the Hollywood Park Casino, Hollywood Park Pavilion, and it was on the 6th floor. And that was twice that I did gospel in there because the KYPA station ended up being a gospel station on AM 1230 called The Spirit of LA. And it was run by Reginald Utley, who was known as the ambassador of gospel radio. And I worked under him in that station, and it was on the 6th floor as well.
Wow.
So I worked in there with him on that station before they went down. And then there was 3 ladies that had a networking group that had talked to one of the account executives at K-Lite, and they wanted to do a gospel brunch live broadcasting. And I had just come in after the other host who was hosting the gospel music show, and I got the opportunity to go into the Hollywood Park Pavilion and broadcast live and interview all of the musicians and choirs and groups that were going to be performing, and I also got to eat.
There you go.
So that I got free food, and that was nice as well. So it was really nice. I wish Facebook and the internet and social media had existed back then, because it probably would have really taken off at that time.
Oh, yeah. I got to meet Reggie many times because he, I think, had a show on 1390 eventually before we sold it. I lost contact with him after we sold 1390 Salem sold 1390 back in late 2000. It was around the time that they bought 95.9 KXMX, the mix, and changed it into the Fish. But then I found out Reggie had passed away about 6 years ago suddenly.
Yeah, Reggie's gone now, but I did get a chance to work with him on that station, and then I had a radio program on 1460 KTYM in Inglewood, and Reggie Utley was the afternoon guy on there from 5 o'clock until 6, where he did You See God in the Music. So I would see him again when I would go in to drop my tape off, because my radio show aired on KTYM as well. And so I would go in and I would sit and I would speak with him, on occasions. And I even got a chance to meet the Mighty Clouds of Joy when I was there.
Wow.
So when he had them in the studio, and he called me in there and he let me meet them. And so I got a chance to talk to them as well.
What other artists have you gotten to meet over the years, having been working in radio and also, hosting shows? There've probably been quite a few, is my guess.
Artists, I never, basically the artists that I met were not well known. There was a couple of people that they had come in to do. I had to interview just 2 people on K-Lite. One of them, I can't remember the guy's name now, but he did gospel music. And then another group came in. They were called Jam with Jam, and one of their members was an actress. And I did get a chance to meet her, and I interviewed that group. But I didn't really get a chance to meet a whole lot of artists as far as that when doing radio. I met most of the people that I listened to on radio and got a chance to work with them.
Oh, okay.
But
wow.
Artists, when I had my own radio show, of course, on KIEV, I finally put a late night radio show on. I did get a chance to meet, we got a chance to meet and interview Tommy Ford from The Martin Show. We got a chance to interview a bunch of we got a chance to meet Arth Evans, actor Art Evans.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We got a chance to meet him. And then we met a few people from the unexposed artists, as we call them. But you're right. Now that I think about it, I did go to a lot of different networking brunches and things where I met legends like Norman Connors from the 70s. I met comedian Sinbad. I met Gerald Levert. We met the OJs. I got a chance to meet a jazz artist, Norman Brown. So we got a chance to meet a few people from, as far as that. My radio partner put that together. And then we also interviewed Larry B. Scott, actor Larry B. Scott from Revenge of the Nerds. We got a chance to interview him as well. And he had us in stitches when we interviewed him. He and Tommy Ford both had us in stitches when we interviewed them.
Now, do you still have those interviews on tape somewhere?
I have the Tommy Ford interview. My tape messed up with the Larry B. Scott, and I wish I had have re-recorded it on another tape, but that one got messed up.
Oh,
so
man.
I just have it. I have it in my head now. But those were fun times that we got a chance. My radio partner that I had at the time did have a chance to get these people. We also interviewed the group, R&B group Troop. Mm-hmm. We got a chance to interview them, and we also got a chance to go to a few celebrity basketball games where I interviewed a couple of people too. So we got you're right. I did get a chance to meet quite a few people throughout the different radio ventures that I went to. It was very interesting to meet a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess looking back, you said Larry B. Scott was really awesome. In addition to him, who was just the friendliest, just like, oh my gosh, this person's like, it's like talking to an old friend you haven't seen forever, and you're so excited to see them. Anybody stand out to you like that?
Well, Larry B. Scott was one because I first met him at one of the networking brunches, and then he agreed to come and do the interview with us. Art Evans, the actor Art Evans, he came and he was very down to earth. Tommy Ford once Tommy Ford came and he started to loosen up, he was, very down to earth. He had even invited us to the play that he was directing at that time. He was directing a play called South of Where We Live. And he even invited us down to go and see that play. And we went down to support him as far as that. And he was very down to earth, too. Just about everybody that I met was pretty down to earth. We didn't have very many people that I didn't get along with. There were a couple, I won't mention any names, but for the most part, the majority of them were very down to earth and very nice. And they were very, forthcoming and things. We even got a chance to meet the girls from the TV show A Different World.
Oh, yeah.
One of the girls, Cree Summers, that played Freddie on A Different World, she was at the time singing rock music, and my friend and I, the radio partner and I, went down to Prince's Club downtown LA called Glam Slam. We went down there to see her, and so we're sitting up in the top seats. We had a full view of the stage, and we're right front and center, and we're sitting there, me and my radio partner are sitting there, and we're looking toward the stage, and we hear this voice behind us say, "Is anybody sitting here?" And we turn around, and it's Jasmine Guy and Charnel Brown, her co-stars from A Different World. And we're like, "No, nobody's sitting here. Come on, sit down." And we were going to ask them if they, we could get them on to do an interview with us on our late night show, but it never materialized. But it was very interesting meeting them. They were very nice as well.
It's interesting because that show was originally intended as a spinoff for the character of Denise Huxtable. Yet It was after Lisa Bonet left that the show really took off and became its own dedicated audience. which is kind of weird. Of course, a lot of shows kind of start off that way. You think about Happy Days. It was originally supposed to be Richie and Potsy as two buddies in the 1950s, and Ralph Malph was kind of like, this arch nemesis of theirs, and Fonzie was this outcast, and yet Fonzie became the main focal point, and then Ralph ended up becoming buddies with Richie and Potsy. So you just never know what direction things are going to go.
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that that's what that was supposed to be for Happy Days.
Yeah, in
Interesting.
fact, it was Gary Marshall originally had Fonzie wearing this light blue windbreaker, and he wanted Fonzie to wear the leather jacket, but ABC said, no, he can't wear the leather jacket, only when he's riding on his motorcycle. So what Gary Marshall did is he had many scenes where Fonzie's riding into Arnold's on his motorcycle, and that's why, because that way he could have the leather jacket on. And so what he did was he ended up taking the blue windbreaker and throwing it into the dumpster at Paramount Studios. So it's in a landfill somewhere. I was like, because I wondered what happened to that blue windbreaker that Fonzie originally wore on the show, and that's where it is, somewhere probably in Shoal Canyon.
Yeah, somewhere in a landfill somewhere, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also got to work, with KKLA and K-Lite. It's kind of an interesting operation because I remember Kiris, who had been on KGER, came to KKLA. Brian Perez, who had been overnights on KKLA, went to K-Lite and became like, on the weekends he was Brian Perez. On the weekdays he was Ismail Perez on the Spash broadcast. I said, you got to call yourself Bay Ismail Perez because Bay is B in Spanish and kind of give you your B. Mitchell Reed type of vibe. But he didn't go for that. But I just remember just the crazy, some of the hosts that we had on the weekends, buying their infomercials. And you're probably guessing where I'm going to go here with the chiropractor whose name we'll just call him Dr. Edward, where he's like, I want my show promoted every 5 minutes, every 5 minutes.
Yep. I remember him. But to back up just a little bit, it's interesting you mentioned Kiris and Brian because both of those guys trained me. Kiris trained me at KGER. He was the first one that trained me on the overnight shift, and then Brian Perez trained me on KKLA.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I haven't seen Kiris probably in about 20 years at least. I heard he's working for Fox Sports Radio in Sherman Oaks now, and I think he might be operations. Not director, but some sort of a supervisor role as well. But I don't know since I haven't talked to him in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, he's over there. Mm-hmm. That's true.
And then Brian is program director of K-Wave 107.9 FM. And just getting back to the chiropractor, I just remember every episode, you play the co-host, I'll play the host. Well, do you suffer from herniated discs? Here's my client to share his story. Tell us about coming into my chiropractic office.
Oh, you want me to tell you about that? Yes, I had herniated disc, and you. Yeah, that was funny. I'm sitting in the room running the board, and I am just in stitches because this guy is just sitting there dozing off while this man is talking to all of his callers. All of them had herniated disc. If you asked him, they're calling in for stuff, and I'm not a doctor, but I can hear what they were talking about. I'm like, that's not a herniated disc. He just has a headache. But everybody had a herniated disc, according to him. So yeah, I had some very interesting people that I ran the board for when I was over there at KKLA and K-Lite.
And his co-host fell asleep every single week. Every single week it was the same story, and right after that, he'd be snoring away. Even with the microphone off, you'd hear the snoring in the background.
Sitting there nodding off, and I'm like, does this guy ever get any sleep? Because I guess this is the time he gets to sleep, when he's sitting in here talking to Dr. Edward, It just had me in stitches. I mean, I had to really stay on point because I never knew what he was going to do. But I'm so busy laughing because this guy is just and again, I wish that I had a phone with the camera, because I take pictures of this guy just sitting there nodding off while this man is talking. Yeah. I had some very, very interesting folks that come through there.
Then I remember another one. It wasn't necessarily a funny show per se, but loved working with Dr. Arnold Fox, and he'd always end his show with the Eddie Cantor tune. I love to spend this hour with you, as friend to friend. I'm sorry with you. I'm telling you just how I feel. We would sit there and sing that, me and his daughter, because his daughter would come in sometimes. Oh, that's right.
And she would sit with me and call screen, and he had a little granddaughter named Heather.
Oh, yeah.
And they would always talk about Heather, but we would sit there, and me and his daughter would sit in there, and while he would be singing, we would be singing in the control room.
Barbara's daughter, Heather, was such a character.
Yeah, she was.
She's probably like in her mid to late 20s. Well, actually late 20s by now, maybe 30 or something.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I mean, and then Dr. Fox's wife, Hannah, used to always lock the door. And I remember one time he called me up. Tell us that story with Cedric Johnson, who was on after them with The Next Step.
Yeah, Dr. Cedric Johnson, he would come on with The Next Step, and he would have his topics, and his most popular topic was dealing with difficult people. And he would, when he wasn't getting any calls, for the topic that he had, he would come in and he would ask me, how would I get people to call? And I would tell him every time, go with your old reliable, dealing with difficult people, because I bet you if you do that, you'll start getting calls. And sure enough, after his break, he would change the subject, and he would go in dealing with different people, and the phones would light up like a Christmas tree. Well, there was one time he would always get up and he would go and get coffee from the break room. Well, this one time, his Dr. Arnold Fox, his wife, forgot to unlock the door when they left, and I didn't know how to lock the doors, and wasn't familiar with them and what was going on. So he gets up one evening. He gets up and he goes to get his coffee and everything, and when he comes back, he's jiggling the door. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking, waiting for him to walk back in the studio, and I don't see him going into the studio. And I'm looking, and I'm going, the commercials are almost over. What is he doing? And he's coming towards me, and I'm like, why is he coming in here? And he goes, Robert, I locked myself out of the studio. Do you have a key? And I'm like, no, I don't have a key. So I had to go in there and put some more commercials in or something. And I had to call one of the other guys to come in. I think it was Dave Dino, because he lived right down the street. And I called Dave Dino, and he came in with his key, with his happy-go-lucky, persona. And he comes in, and he unlocks the door for Dr. Cedric Johnson, and he goes, so I said, well, show me what you did, and show me how to unlock the door so this doesn't happen again. But that was classic, too. I'm sitting in the studio, and I'm just falling because that's so funny. He's just, Robert, I locked myself out of the studio, and I'm thinking, I don't know what to tell you. So I had to go find the book with all of the people in it, all of our coworkers, and find their phone numbers. And luckily, I found Dave Dino. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm right down the street. I'll be right down there. And about 5 minutes later, he comes walking in. So it's like, okay, because Dr. Cedric Johnson used to always bring his wife in with him, but she stopped coming and stuff. So she would always get his coffee for it. Oh. But she stopped coming, so he started going to get his coffee himself. But this time, they had locked the door, and when he locked it, he didn't leave it open. He just let it shut. And the next thing I know, he's coming in there talking to me, and I'm like, hey, man, I don't know what to tell you. But luckily, he wasn't, we got him back on in a timely manner, and he went on with this show. But yeah, that was so funny.
I think that was the reason they disabled the locks on the doors, was because of that one night. So you cannot lock that door anymore, thank heavens.
You cannot lock that door. No. That was so funny.
We're talking with Robert T. Graves. By the way, check us out on X at I am Josh B. Jacobs. Also, if you have a question for me, or if you'd like to have somebody on the show, just email me, joshdj57 at gmail.com. That's joshdj57 at gmail.com. And next time, Robert shares more interesting stories working behind the scenes in radio.